So the Ford model and the GM situation gives you opportunities for figuring out, okay, if you're going to be an owner, how can you do this and not necessarily be present? We'll come back to the talent. What I want to do is just at a very high level, we want to begin with the end in mind. So wherever you are, what does the business look like and what does your role look like? So we'll talk a little bit about succession planning here. We have very sophisticated audio visuals and they never crash. And we have a backup system right there. So how many of you have a written succession plan? How many of you have an unwritten succession plan? You sort of know in your heads where it's going in the next 2 years, in the next 5, in the next 8. We plan to be out of the business. So you have a timeline, but you don't have a succession plan. So about 6. How many of you have no written plan and no written timeline? And you just put your hand up kind of like this if you want. So there's lots. Okay. Most business owners sell their businesses for health reasons. They're sick of the business. And that ends up being a stressful reaction down here. So succession planning starts in one of 4 places. At the kitchen table, at the boardroom table or advisor's table with your accountant or your lawyer or a consultant or something like that, in the emergency room, and at the funeral home. So the last 2 aren't so good, and the first 2 are a lot better. So really, the most important thing to start is a contingency plan, and does somebody have signing authority? So if you can't be there to run the business or make decisions because you take an extended holiday or you go golfing or whatever you want to do, is there some way that the business can continue to enter contracts and sign checks and things like that? So at the entrepreneurial level, you want to have somebody, a second in command. Daphne Fiorante joined me last week. I doubled my company last week, so I understand from all you experienced entrepreneurs, you only do that once, right? And then after that, it's fractional. So you want that second in command to really help you take your business to the next level. So if you're down here, if you brought your checkbooks, you can just write Receiver General and all of it, because you're going to be in a really unfortunate situation of not being able to take advantage of certain tax things and structures that are there for you to protect wealth. Okay? If you have a written plan but no timeline, that's fine. You can start filling in some of the talent and the pieces. If you have a timeline, then get something on paper. There's a lot of good resources out there. There's checklists on my website at symchichconsulting.com that can give you some structure. Those are free resources, and there's also all sorts of information. The banks are getting into this. I know the Royal Bank specifically has a succession planning binder or package. The CFIB has resources for this. 7 out of 10 entrepreneurs in Canada are going to retire the next 8 to 10 years. 1 out of 7 have a written plan. So since we, entrepreneurs, are 45% of this economy, employing 7 out of 10 of new people being employed, and really going to be the ones that innovate the way out of this economic situation, that's pretty scary. So what we want to do in terms of beginning with the end in mind, managing by not being there, is getting a plan in place that will help you run your business. Succession planning happens at 2 levels. So it's a succession 2-step. And what happens if you try and do it all at once, it's too hard and there's too much going on. Succession happens at the ownership level and succession happens at the management level. It's much easier to do this one first because when you have a management team in place that can run your business because you're not there, then ownership is a lot more fun. You can be golfing and your business can be running. The ownership is a lot more about structure, and then sometimes there's family involved here. So the 3 circles in a family business. Am I okay standing in front of these things, or is it looking goofy, huh? Okay, good, good. Employee or manager. It's very hard to do in PowerPoint live as we're going along. So when you're the owner-manager, you're in these 2 circles. And if you have a family business, then this one's here as well. So there's 7 different combinations here. Your family not in the business, you're an owner, you're an employee or a manager, you're a family member working in the business, you're a family member who's an owner but not in the business, you're an owner-manager, and bullseye, you're all of the above. So for those of you that feel like a target on a certain day, that could be why. And then in terms, there's different governance processes and procedures. So in terms of structure, there's things like family council. And really it's about having conversations about your family without your business dominating every mealtime conversation, things like that. Establishing family traditions and celebrating birthdays and weddings and graduations, and just having family fun without the weight of the business all the time. The owner, the formal is a board. So not only are you owner-managers, you're probably the de facto board that has meetings on the fly. In other words, your lawyer sends you some minutes that you might sign, right? And so that another opportunity here is to create an advisory board, which is not